Oh. Oh, man. Sustenance.
Fizz? Who's fizzing?
I'm fizzing.
No.
Oh, I mean like actual like static.
Yeah, static through the ears, bro.
Oh, man.
Oh.
These pre-rolls get uglier over the years, huh?
Definitely.
They started off as conversation, but now it's just us setting up.
Making noises and going,
because we're getting older.
For sure.
Woo. Oh, man.
Usually opening a canned beverage or so, or a bottled beverage. Sometimes both. Like I'm probably going to be doing in a minute here.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah. Man. Shit, man.
We got a pretty girthy agenda today.
Yeah, we got some stuff. We got a lot of stuff, actually. Been a long day. I moved that piano here, so that was kind of nuts.
Yeah.
And then as I'm like, we're getting it off the truck, and then my neighbor's like, hey, man, you know I move pianos for a living? We're like, no, didn't know that. He's like, need a better dolly. He like, mine has a grip on it, so the piano won't slip out from underneath it. We're like, oh. So we get that in. He's like, okay. He's like, you guys have a blanket or something? We're like,
what's a blanket?
well, like a blanket to put underneath the piano when you bring it to the house. I'm like, no. He's like, I got one. So he runs and go gets it. And then he's like, I would recommend putting cardboard underneath the legs. He's
You know,
like,
it's
so
funny. It's like that thing, like when you get like engaged, like suddenly all these girls come out of the woodwork talking about, oh, like I always liked you.
Yeah.
And it's like the piano thing is the same fucking thing. It's
Correct.
like silence, and then it's like, you know, I do that for like a living, right? It's like,
yeah. The dude literally had like piano mover world or whatever on his jacket. Like that's how real it is. But so yeah, he came in real handy. Threw him a couple bucks because he didn't have to do that. He could have just watched us, which is probably something more along the lines of what I would have done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've been like, oh, they're doing that wrong. Oh well, and moved on with my life. Granted, I am a piece of shit, but still, you know.
Yeah.
So there's that. But that was an whole episode. So we're closing on my grandparents' house. And well, I'm going to say my mother and her siblings are closing on my grandparents' house in a couple of days. Like Thursday, it's going to be over. It's all said and done with. And so we got to clean it out, right? And my grandparents had all kinds of crazy knickknacks and stuff like that. Like my grandma was the queen of picking up knickknacks that she never used because that's just like the type of lady she was. She liked doing that stuff.
Sure.
So there was a bunch of little things that we had to go through. I actually found the collection, the Godfather collection, on VHS.
Nice.
Yeah, so I think I might have left it in the truck, but I'm gonna keep that. I have like a display piece here, you know.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's there's always interesting pieces in collections, and it sounds like a good hand-me-down almost, but more like I'm just gonna take it.
Yeah, more like yeet. Yep, correct. You are right in that regard. But other than that, Gabe, are you ready to
rumble?
Get this going?
Yeah.
What is going on, guys? Welcome to the Second City Kids podcast, episode number 146.
146, first of the new year.
Yeah, we are back. Like Gabe said, the first of the new year. We took last week off because by the time Sunday rolled around, I'm like, we got like 4 things on the agenda. And I'm like, yeah.
Sometimes we just let them stack up and they have a really good episode the following week.
Yeah, so that's what we're doing. So that's what we're doing right now. So yeah, Gabe, how was your week, buddy?
My week was not that great. But then yesterday, we went to this silent disco thing at the Subterranean, and I had a fucking blast.
Silent disco as in the thing you put headphones on and you're just fucking jamming?
I didn't think I was going to have that much fun, to be honest with you, but I had the fucking time of my life. It was much needed after a long week.
Really?
Hell yeah.
So, you can't hear anybody talk, though?
Well, once everybody's a little bit liquored up, when you pull off the headphones, you realize people love to sing.
Yeah, it's probably subconscious. They didn't even know they're doing it, probably.
I mean, I was probably doing it at one point or another as well. I just think it's I don't know, man. It was my first experience doing something like that, and I had an absolute blast with it. That's all.
Oh,
so
yeah. Interesting. At Sub T too?
Yeah, I feel like I've been like living at that venue for the past couple of weeks.
That is a little strange. Okay, silent. So, like, what type of music were they playing? They're just going.
Well, they had 3 stations. They had a modern pop and requests radio. They had an electronic radio, and then they had a really good like rap station.
Really?
That shit. Oh man, They pulled out some fucking shit I haven't heard in years, bro.
I'm sure Nicky would have been like, "Hey man, I like that shit.
You're gonna change the green, bro."
That was good shit, bro.
So yeah, I didn't drive, and my buddies got me trashed, and we were dancing
Together.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, fuck it. You're right.
Everybody's dancing.
True. All right, so that sounds like fun. Man, it was weird this week because it was like my first full week back because without the holidays and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like weird. I'm like, man, where's my day off in the middle of the week? Oh man, I don't have
the week
one.
feels extra long, huh?
Yeah, but it wasn't too bad all considering. You know, it is what it is. Getting trying to get everything caught up and ready to go, starting for the new year. Start the new year on a good foot, you know.
Hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We got some rumbling going on, ladies and gentlemen.
Uh-oh.
The gremlins have invaded the podcast space.
Elisana, can you close the door, please? Thank you.
Nice.
So,
Let's just dive right into this agenda today.
yeah.
What do we have on the notes section?
Oh, so Mr. Kevin Lyman is going to be doing a show for the Australian fires. He's going to be putting together a little shindig. I don't know the exact logistics of that and like how big it's going to be, how low it's going to be, but obviously Australia is basically burning down to the fucking ground right now, and everybody's doing a little bit to try to help them. Northlane had a show or is planning a show out there, and it sold out within a minute. So yeah, man, there's a bunch of good Australian bands on there. I think maybe
good stuff. So Australia's getting their own Warped Tour by what we understand.
Yeah. So that's why I put it on the agenda. I thought it was pretty good, and Kevin Lyman gonna help out the world because that's just the type of guy he is. Speaking of which, kind of unrelated, but there's been footage coming out from the Warped Tour 25 anniversary, right?
Yeah.
I think.
Did you find me?
No. I think BVTV has like recordings, like live pro shot recordings, and they posted up some 41 songs. And it sounds fucking fantastic. And of course, they're playing like Fat Lip and In Too Deep and shit like that.
Yeah, the production on the Sum 41 live shows is ridiculous.
Absolutely, they sound great. And yeah, just something I wanted to talk about because I was like fucking jamming the other day when I was at work. I'm like,
good stuff, man.
Sum 41, it's all good shit. But yeah, man. Other than that, you ready to get into the weeds of this?
Let's talk some movies, TVs, and books. So we got Boy Meets World on here.
Yeah, we do.
And.
So I think I've talked about this previously because me and my wife have plowed through this probably within the last 3 to 4 years. Well, probably before my daughter was born, just before. And let me tell you something.
That shit hit different.
It's so fantastic. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. Like, the first couple of seasons are really cute because it's a little kid going through little kid shit, and you kind of see his perspective. Little too smart for his own good kind of a scenario, but that's okay, right? It's funny. It can get serious at times. But as it progresses into the later season, they cover some, like, really deep shit. Like, some really, really deep shit. And talking about maybe, like, not knowing what you're doing and, kind of being lost. Especially with Eric's character, I feel like a lot of people just look at him as kind of the comic relief. But there's some gold in there about him growing up and kind of being confused and lost and not sure what he's worth. And his parents kind of being like, well, you're worth whatever you want to be, but you're lazy. And you're choosing to take the easy way out when you should be taking the hard path. Yeah, the hard path so you can get the most out of it. And it's good stuff, man. And I don't know how many seasons we're in, but we just got into when the theme song transitioned to the final is a boy meets that whole thing, right? And I'm really enjoying it. There's some really good stuff in there. So if it's on Disney Plus. If you haven't got through it yet, if you've never done it, I'd highly recommend it for it. And I was telling my wife, I think it hits a little bit differently now because I am a dad, right? Last time I watched it, I wasn't a dad. So now it hits a little bit differently. You kind of get perspective on things. It's very interesting. And I would recommend it if you haven't yet.
Yeah, there's do you remember the Disney animated short Before Finding Dory with the dumplings?
Do
you remember that one?
Oh, the bow one?
The bow one.
Yeah.
Did you have Elisana when we went to go see that?
No.
Wait. Maybe.
No, I don't think so, no.
Maybe rewatch that, see if it hits differently now.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm going to have to check that out.
Well, because that one's like a whole coming of age story, right?
Yeah. Yeah, maybe I should check that out because they have it on Disney Plus. So.
Oh, they have all the shorts on there. Nice.
Yeah, they got all the shorts. My favorite. What was your favorite Pixar short?
The chess one with the old guy.
That was
right
mine.
Before Toy Story 2?
Bugs Life.
Okay.
Right before Bugs Life, the guy was playing chess with himself, but it wasn't really himself. Was it himself? I don't know. It was interesting because he kind of had
like a stroke at the end, right?
Yeah, because he had kind of like both players had like a different personality, same looking guy, but it was kind of this different personality. That was kind of funny. I like that one. I like the volcano one, lava.
Oh yeah, that one was great.
That was some good stuff. The umbrella one was really good. They got great shorts, man. But yeah, so sorry, didn't mean to go on that tangent, but yeah, Boy Meets World, definitely check it out. Definitely interesting.
Let's talk about Boy Meeting World. Let's talk Quiet Place 2. We got a good trailer this week.
Correct.
John Krasinski. Whoa, man. What are we doing?
I don't know, man. That he stepped up to the plate on this. We talked about the quiet things, how I enjoyed it a lot. I think you enjoyed it quite a bit as well, right?
I did.
And so yeah, this one is the sequel, but it also seems to be like they're showing us some day one activities, like when the things first emerged and how the world kind of changed, which I always enjoy those type of things. I don't think this franchise necessarily warranted that. I think I kind of like the mystery of it all, but I do, you know, whatever works. I think it's kind of cool. And of course, you know, the story's continuing. Now they know how to fight the things that they're fighting. And I'm looking forward to it, man. Looking forward to it. It was definitely a well shot trailer. And I think Emily Blunt's going to drive this one home.
Yeah, man. Lots of good movies coming out this year. Lots of good movies and music that we need to cover. But we're thinking about Avatar in 2020. What's up?
So I watched it on New Year's. Okay. And I don't know what it was, but because I don't think I've seen it fully since I saw it in theaters.
Okay.
Like fully all the way through. You and I have talked about the lack of cultural impact that this movie has, even though it's one of the highest grossing ever, But I will say, it's fucking beautiful, dude. Like straight up, shit on that still looks good to this day. And obviously,
it's been like a decade almost.
Yeah, we've definitely made some technological advances in the meantime, right? Obviously. It still looks great. And it's still a good story. Basically, it's Pocahontas in space. You know, let's be real.
Sure.
But it's a beautiful story. It's really well done. I love, my favorite thing about the whole thing is how bad of an actor Sam Worthington is. But around that time, everybody was trying to make him like a thing.
Yeah.
Like he was in the Terminator. He was in this. He was in a couple of other things. He was in the Black Ops, voice acting, stuff like that. And so it was just kind of funny because he was definitely the weak point. But obviously, we're still waiting for Avatar 2, right? So I did some research. And basically, the reason why it has been delayed. I mean, obviously, we've talked about how they didn't want to go one-on-one on Star Wars. We get that, But apparently, they're working on technology to motion capture in water. Because I guess a very large portion of the next story is going to be based around the water. Maybe on an island or underwater, how that water relates to the rest of the planet. I don't know. But that's what they're working on, which is why it's taking so long. Because I'd imagine motion capture underwater would be pretty difficult, you know. And if you want an all-time selling movie, you just put Zoe Saldana in funny colors and send her on the screen. Because
yeah, I mean it's worked all the times up to now.
Yeah, seriously, she's like in the top 3 highest grossing films of all time, and all of them are her covered in green paint or blue paint or whatever the fuck, you know. So yeah, but that was something that was interesting to me, that Cameron wanted to perfect this technology before they really went full bore with it.
Fun fact, it wasn't mocap, but they used puppets underwater to film the Dementors moving around for Harry Potter films.
Really?
Yep.
That's interesting.
And that's why they look so damn fluid and
kind of like, I don't know. That's interesting.
Yeah,
really?
I miss having like the extra time to plow through like the extra side of the DVD. You know what I mean? Like the commentaries, the interviews and shit like that. And that's one of the things they pointed out.
I'm the only one in my house who enjoys those things. Like right now, like anytime I may see a making of or I want to watch it, Adrian's like, I don't want to watch that. I don't care. I'm like, you got to care. I mean, like I enjoy knowing how the sausage is made sometimes, you know?
Absolutely.
And I'm the only one that cares about it. Even when I was a kid, like my sister was like, oh, how are you watching this again? I'm like, I enjoy it. It is what it is. What can I say? I enjoy the process of filmmaking. I think there's a lot of interesting stuff. And not even just that, like making of an album, making of a music video, whatever the fuck. There's plenty of good stuff in there, you know?
It's just because you enjoy the end product doesn't mean you have to enjoy the process, but the people who do definitely have a better insight on some of the things that are going on. Correct.
So, man, that was something that I'm interested in. I really enjoyed the film the second time around, man. I thought it was really well done. And, I'm really interested in seeing what they're going to do moving forward with it.
Good stuff. I might have to revisit it because I don't think I've actually seen it outside of theaters.
Because especially now, maybe because I'm such a mark for the Pandora land in the Animal Kingdom that I'm just like, oh, I fucking love everything about this now. It's so beautiful. Maybe that's it. Because that was like easily my favorite part of my last Disney trip was Pandora. I loved it so much, and Flight of Passage was beautiful and the whole entire thing. So I don't know. But I really enjoyed it. So if you haven't, it's on Disney Plus, man. Check it out. I'm sure it'll sound pretty good on your home theater. I'm sure it'll be booming and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And I would definitely check it out if you have not So basically, this whole thing is just me plowing through Disney Plus and slowly going through things over and over again. But we're not gonna get into that. Next up, New Mutants. What? Ready?
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally forgot that was coming out this year. Actually,
Well, because it's been delayed.
Twice now?
Like 4 times probably. Fun fact. So they have decided that because what's it called? They pushed it back because they were gonna be doing reshoots, right? That was like the whole thing. Turns out that all the things they reshot is not going to be in the movie. They're going to use the original cut of the movie. So, I don't know. Well, what are you looking at? So I don't know. I just think it's a little silly that we had to delay it multiple times. Obviously, it's kind of taking the horror route, very kind of creepy, and I guess it's finally coming out soon enough because we got another trailer that dropped because it's been very radio silence about this particular project, over the last several years. Because I feel like it's been years, right? Am I wrong?
No, you're definitely right because this was like 2018.
Yeah,
when we were expecting it.
Yeah, and I think it was supposed to be April of that year or something like that. And yeah, it's just been delayed, and I don't know what else to say. But yeah, so apparently they're using the early cut of the film, so I think it's kind of funny.
Hopefully, it pans out for the directors, writers, and actors.
Yeah, I mean, because at the very least, it looked like a fun, interesting project, and I think it kind of got lost in the sauce because of the whole acquisition of 20th Century Fox and all that, and nobody knew what to do with it, and kind of I think Dark Phoenix kind of fell to the wayside the same kind of way. Like it was kind of in this middle ground where they're just like, just release it.
It's not directly MCU, so nobody has to give a crap about it.
Correct. Yeah, and I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see. I mean, I'm interested in it, and it'll be our first Marvel horror movie. Apparently, like we talked about how Doctor Strange is going to be having his, which that's exciting. But yeah, I thought this was a little weird. But yeah, have you seen the trailer by chance? The new trailer?
I have not seen it yet. No,
it looks fun. It looks good. So I guess we'll have to wait and see. So this is something that I know that you really quite enjoyed. Tell me about it, Gabe. Tell me about 1917.
So 1917 got the first release late last year, and now it got the wide audience release officially on Thursday. I went on opening night with my buddy Greg. And we saw it, and we both really enjoy war films. But there was something special about 1917 that kind of separates it from the pack. Kind of, man, I don't want to compare it to anything, so I'm just dive right into my review. This movie is 10 minutes of setup and an hour and 50 of fucking tension. And just holding your attention, your gaze, and everything in between. And so the premise is really simple. You get it in the trailer. It's two guys have to deliver a message to call off an attack because it's a bamboozle, right? They want the Germans want the English to attack.
It's an ambush.
There we go. I couldn't think of the damn word.
Yeah.
And so these guys have to cross behind the German lines through a town and deliver that message to this battalion of troops. Mm-hmm. And holy shit, this movie is something else. Even aside from the story, the accuracy, the sound design, and just the planescape, this movie is filmed in such a manner where it's not, but it feels like one long take that is 2 hours long. Mm-hmm. This editing and this cutting is so fucking seamless that if you didn't know any better, you might just think they did this all in one go, in one afternoon. And it is so fucking flawless. There's this sort of weird magnetism between the camera and the main characters where you learn about the environment through the characters, what they're kind of trudging through, the dirty, decaying bodies and the fucking sludge that sinks them in and stuff. And the camera takes a moment to kind of pan around and look back at it. And then it's almost like if the characters and the camera are connected by a rubber band, then it just slowly brings it back around to them and what they've been doing. It's such a feat of editing. It's so marvelous. Even if you don't like the movie or you don't like, a World War I story, I think this is the epitome of what great fucking editing is. Mm-hmm. But that being said, the story is great. You give a shit about the characters. The cinematography, I don't want to give away what the final sequence is or one of the final sequences is, but it literally was so fucking beautiful. I have not seen anything like that. And there's a lot of stuff going on in this movie, and at the end of the day, it is a pretty simple premise, but it's kind of, you live vicariously through this character, and you kind of explore this World War I setting, and what was it like to be a British soldier in 1917. And honestly, I quite enjoyed it, man. It was a really good film, and I think if you can get the opportunity, go see it in theaters.
It's definitely on my list because it's definitely something that when I saw the trailer for it, I'm like, that looks good. That looks really good. And I've heard the fact that it kind of looks like it's presented in the way that it's all one big take, which is beautiful. And it's definitely on my list. I'm trying to see it maybe next weekend. We'll see what the finances look like. I'm trying to see a couple movies, but that's for sure on the top of my list.
Just to kind of add the cherry on top, the long take I think was very purposeful because it truly makes you feel like you're on the journey with the main characters, and it makes it feel long and arduous, and it makes you feel like a fucking journey. And I think that was kind of the point here, because how many movies have we seen that have like shaky cam or like quick cuts or this and that? Probably most of them.
Yeah,
most
probably.
of them, if not all of them.
Correct.
And then this movie just does such a good job at like dolly placement, at stabilization of the camera, and like I said, these just fucking flawless, not even a frame of like difference.
That's hard. That's got to be a technological feat. That's got to be really extremely difficult to try to pull off.
Yeah. So we went in expecting a good war story, but we got that, and we got a feat of modern day cinema. And like I said, even if you're not about these war movies, even if you're not about the violence or this and that, go in and just watch it and just take notes and appreciate the beauty, because there's so much these guys do with lightings and shadows. And that's all I got to say about it, man. It was phenomenal, and it's the first movie I've seen in theaters this year, and I think it's going to be hard to come close to where this is sitting. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, it wasn't that weird spot like the Revenant spot that we had a couple years ago, where the Revenant was like only wide released after the new year, so it was like, where does it fall? You know what I mean? But yeah, it's definitely something that I'm looking forward to. We have a good lineup of movies coming out this year, man. We got Bond coming. We got a bunch of good stuff.
We got Halloween, the sequel.
Halloween
2020.
Halloween Kills, yeah.
We're just going to call them by the year they come out at this point, honestly.
Well, at least I give them credit for at least trying to differentiate, because I don't need another Halloween 2. I really don't. We've had enough of those. So, I give them credit for trying to at least differentiate a little bit. But, yeah, we got some good stuff coming out this year, and I think, it definitely looks like something I'm interested in. And we'll have to wait and see. That was it. Let's keep it moving. So, gaming related news. Only got a couple things. So I bought a board game quite a while back, right? It's called Horrified. It is based around the Universal monster movies, right? So it's got Dracula, it's got Frankenstein, all this good stuff, right? The Mummy, Werewolf, Creature of the Black Lagoon, all that good stuff, right?
Cool.
So the objective of the game is that you and a team take on these monsters, right? The objective is to defeat the monsters and prevent them from killing villagers, okay? So I finally pulled it out. Me and my siblings had a game night because my sister just returned from Florida. So I'm like, well, it's been a while since we've all been together. Let's sit down and do a game night. And I'm like, I had this game that I've been wanting to play for like months that I would like to play it. So we sat down, played it. Took a little bit to kind of get into the swing of things. Matter of fact, for the first half of the game, the monsters were fucking kicking our asses. Like, it was hard. Like, it was decently hard. And
is it a deck builder? Is it?
No, it's kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Collecting resources to defeat each monster. Each monster has a different objective in order to defeat them. So, like, you and your team have to plan out like what your next moves are. How to get away from the monsters, because there's like a fighting mechanic to it, and the monsters can go a little apeshit if you let them, right? Mm-hmm. There was a particular point in the game where fucking the Creature of the Black Lagoon and Dracula, which is the novice starting, like they're like, if you're playing your first game, these are the two monsters that you should pick. I can't even imagine adding more monsters because we got our ass kicked by those two. That there was a point where they were literally dead center in like dividing the board in half.
Jesus.
Yeah. And it's like, you know what I mean? You have to kind of juke one of them to get to the other side of the board. Each player character has a different ability. Some of them have a lot of movements, and they may not have a special action, but they have a lot of movements. Some characters only move a little bit, but they have special actions, things like that. So, there's a level of randomness to it, because it's not like you get to pick your character. You just draw one at random, and that's the character that you play as. So you can't have necessarily the same strategy every time, because every character has strong suits and stuff like that. Like I said, standing on the outside, it looked complicated. But once you got into it, it was really pretty simple.
Pretty simple flow?
Yeah, it was a very simple flow of the game. Like I said, it took us about halfway through to realize, this is what we're doing. But unfortunately for me and my siblings, this first run, that was not enough time. You know what I mean? Because you have, I think it's a counter up to like 7 or something like that. If 7 villagers die or you die 7 times, or it's game over. Yeah. So fortunately, the monsters did kick our ass. We did get Dracula down. However, the creature of the Black Lagoon mopped us up.
What are the expert level monsters? Just out of curiosity.
They didn't have like, if you want to like really max out, that these are the 2 monsters you should pick. But as you get through it, you add more monsters.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So it's more of a quantity.
Yeah. It's a quantity, and some of them, like there are certain cards in the monster deck where multiple are allowed to move at the same time. So if you're dealing with multiple monsters coming at you at the same time, the way their mechanics work is if they move to the nearest player. Like if whoever's the closest, they go towards, and the person who is the one who activates them is the one to decide which direction they go if there's equal distance. So so you kind of have to plan out and kind of have like a game plan. Like I said, you can't just toss your partners under the bus because you need each other to complete the objective. And like I said, once we started to figure out, we're like, oh, okay. But like I said, a little too late for us. But yeah, man, it was a really well developed game, well thought out. Difficult in a good way, where it kind of like, okay, now next time I got an idea, you know what I mean? And I would definitely recommend that as soon as we can get another board game night going. Like I said, it looks a little daunting, but once you get into it, it's pretty easy to understand. And I would definitely recommend it for anybody who saw it maybe on Amazon or a Target, wherever. Definitely pick it up, especially if you're a fan of the monsters. It's definitely nice. It's very beautiful. I'm gonna show you the box before you leave today, because it was like really, really beautiful. So I would definitely recommend. I'm glad I got to fucking play a board game this year.
Good stuff.
And
it is the golden age of board games. Mm-hmm. So go out to your local board game shop and take a look around.
Absolutely.
I was at a fair game earlier, and there was like an older guy directing like a D&D session for like some like teenage kids, and I was like, man, that's tight.
How wholesome is that? Jesus.
It was just warmed up my dice bag, you know?
Oh yeah.
So what's next on the agenda?
Issues in 2020. So I don't know if you heard any about this. There were some games transitioning into the new year that you could not play. Some Y2K shit, right? So the game just would not launch. I think Star Wars was one of them.
Fallen Order?
Yeah, I think that was one of them. WWE 2K20
was broken from the start,
which has been broken. Did not do well transitioning to the new year. A handful of other games. I find it hilarious that we're in this fucking modern era of gaming where everything is connected online, but when the new year switches over,
everything takes a shit.
Yeah, these games poo-pooed on themselves. I thought it was kind of funny. But yeah, what just wanted your opinion on that? I thought that was kind of funny.
Man, fuck being always online. Fuck that, because especially like a game like Fallen Order, a single player oriented game, it's just this mindset where, well, what if we don't have internet one day? Mm-hmm. Or like, what if I'm like moving? Or like, what if I'm just taking my PlayStation to somebody's house? You know what I mean?
My PlayStation Plus didn't auto renew this year because I switched cards. So I hopped on. I didn't even notice. I hopped on one of my MLB games. It's like, oh, your PlayStation Plus is not. I'm like, first off, didn't know that. Second of all, why the fuck do I need fucking PlayStation Plus to play my baseball game? What the fuck? And I can get into it. But yeah, so yeah, I just thought that was kind of funny. Like I said, that we're in this modern age and these games.
Y2K was 20 years late.
Yeah, I guess so. Guess they finally got our console games. I thought it was kind of funny. Good Moving along.
Stuff. Let's get into music news and reviews, because we got a lot of goodies this week. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about what's in the water in Columbus, Ohio, because our friends at the Lost Boys Collective dropped a new single called Paralyzed, and I wanted to make sure you listened to it before we kind of discussed it. Come at me. What are your thoughts?
Just because they blah doesn't mean they're Architects game. no, definitely. So I definitely see
the influence.
Your comparison, yeah. I'm like, because like the first thing is like blah. I'm like, that's why fucking Gabe said that it was an Architect song. But no, yeah, it's not very similar sounding to their other things, right?
No.
Was this a little bit of a departure from the other things that they've done?
I think most of their singles that they've released have been stylistically different.
Yeah.
Because the Yellow Wallpaper is kind of when we hopped on, and then they dropped Au Revoir, which was also stylistically different. And then this is probably the heaviest of the bunch that we've gotten so far. Yeah,
definitely. It was a good song. It was definitely good. I liked because it's so hard to kind of replicate what Sam Carter can do, but there was that vocal delivery, kind of that rasp, I don't know, that screeching kind of rasp that he has that's, unlike anybody else. And they did a pretty good job at this. I like the artwork too for the.
It's quite good.
Yeah, it was definitely a departure from all those other things, because I think their other artworks were kind of simplified, and there was this darker brooding kind of a look to it. But yeah, man, I tweeted them out. I tweeted that to them. I'm like, hey man, just stop with the singles and just give me an album already. I can't take it anymore. and they retweeted it back. So I thought that was kind of cool.
There is something to be said about that phase where you're developing music for the sake of creativity and art, because we discuss it all the time on this podcast, where sometimes a band drops an album that feels like the record label said, hey, you got to drop an album this year. You know what I mean?
Correct.
And I think there's so much to be said about what the Lost Boys are doing currently and how this is really a labor of love, because they could have done the Yellow Wallpaper again, and I'm sure we still would have enjoyed it. But just because they're pushing themselves both instrumentally, vocally, in delivery, and just the production has been top fucking notch. And, that's my big thing. If you can get quality production in your small band singles, you're going to go far. These guys are simply not getting enough attention.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know, because there's homegrown kind of viewpoint on them as far as like how big they are, how many people, how many fans and followers they have and stuff like that. And I definitely see that they need more. They definitely have the talent to justify a lot of people being into them. So maybe we just caught it early. That happens sometimes. Sometimes you're like, man, why isn't not everybody listening to it? And then, maybe a year later,
they blow up.
Yeah, a year later, they're all over it. I think there's one really big tour away from getting that opportunity.
I think they need a big band to kind of notice them and be like, we're taking you guys on tour.
Correct.
And, I'm not going to say it's going to be like Every Time I Die, but we need somebody like, I don't know, fucking Knocked Loose or like Northern Ghost, which is, maybe a step above what they are currently, and just be like, hey, you guys, our sound meshes well. You guys want to open up for a couple shows?
I like that matchup. I think that's pretty good.
Because I'm at this like weird point where we said like the new metalcore trinity was Northern Ghost, Bad Omens, and Thousand Below.
Yeah.
And now I'm still all in for Northern Ghost, because I re-listened to that album and it's still fucking banger all the way through. Northern Ghost, Lost Boys Collective, and I'm gonna keep Thousand Below on there because they're doing some quality work too, man. And so that's my new trinity for 2020. And I'm hoping at least an EP, man. Give me 5 songs I could just drool over.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, man. It's interesting that especially with last year, there were some bands that came into the mix. You're just like, wow, I did not expect that high quality of an album from, like, Northlane was the prime example. The name of that episode that we reviewed it was Raising Expectations, because you and I thought that they were a band that hit their ceiling. That good band, B+, but they'll never be above that. And the album proved that they are very much capable of being above that. So, yeah, man, definitely. I want to see more from them, which is a good complaint, and I just want to see where they go.
If you guys are listening, next time I come through Ohio, I will happily buy all you guys shots.
Hey, man, don't quick warning, don't use my boy, please. For sure. But yeah, definitely good stuff. And looking forward to seeing what they got coming out. And they obviously are somebody who takes pride in the projects that they're working on. They're not going to just rapid fire releases because maybe they're picking up a little steam. They want to make sure that
these are purposeful, poignant, yet vicious.
Correct.
And I think if you can get behind those 3 adjectives, you should check out the Lost Boys Collective.
Absolutely. So definitely checked out the Lost Boy Collective. Good stuff.
Speaking about vicious, did you listen to this single?
I did.
Polaris dropped a single called Hypermania. Oh, man, what'd you think?
I think it was a band that is very good. We've talked about the last single. I liked it. But this one was more of kind of a straightforward mosh pity kind of a song, right? The last song had a ton of melody, which is good. The guy's a good singer. But this one was kind of like, well, you guys like that song, so let's pick up the pace a little bit. We were doing fucking one-on-one games before, but now we're fucking doing full court press, crazy bullshit now.
This is when you go from like 4v4 team tactical into like a 12-man free-for-all.
Yeah,
this is exactly the transition that Polaris pulled on us with this single.
Correct. Yeah, definitely. It was a well-crafted song. There was a guitar, like a riff. I'm like, damn, what the fuck? And like that was wild. You know what I mean? I listened to it actually. Yesterday on the way to the mall, and I'm like, yeah, that bumps. That's good stuff. That's 2. They're 2 for 2 right now as far as like keeping my attention on the new album. Now, this was a band that I liked, but you were way more into than I was. I think I'm starting to get on board.
Yeah, I am. We always say that push your creative limits and stuff. And the Mortal Coil, I did quite like it. It was a very good melodic album, but I like this kind of weird viciousness. I don't know, man. You ever been jumped by 4 dudes?
No.
This song, pretty much the same thing. And I dig it. This is one of my most anticipated albums of the year. So this is probably like number 2 right behind Every Time I Die and right above Great American Ghost. Out of the things I just, off the top of my head. Mm-hmm. Super excited for this. Man, what else is there to say about this band?
Not much. They're on the rise. They're definitely starting to catch a lot of attention.
Australia and Ohio share the same pipeline of water.
We discussed this, yeah. I think it's the water from the lake, even though the lake's not really close in proximity. That's the water from the lake that finds their way coming through the faucets in Australia. We got to map that out. We got to make a map so people can
It's
understand.
because the pipeline goes through the center of the earth. And, they say, like, the mantle, right, which is the hottest part, which is where the devil lives, right?
Yeah.
No? I don't know. I'm just talking shit now.
No. I think that makes sense because you have to have, like, a certain level of heat in order for it to cook, and get down to the other side. That's a big pipe. I think that's some Mario shit. Mario fucking had a pipe that went to another universe, so fucking... yeah, you know what I mean? So, I mean, if he can do it, why not?
Speaking about Australia.
Correct. The Amity Affliction dropped another... Well, they have 2 singles out now.
Yes. 2 singles.
Which one's which one was the most recent one?
Bleach.
Bleach. Okay. Yeah.
and Bleach is the most recent.
Correct. But they have 2 out on the new album. First off, like the artwork. That's they're very. I think maybe not the last album, but their artwork is very
Thematic.
Yeah, they are all kind of. If you lay them all out, you're like, oh, that makes sense. You know what I mean? And so yeah, this was these 2 songs are pretty good. I think it's more drawing from their more previous efforts. There's definitely melody in there, and there's definitely some creativity in there. But I think it draws from a little bit more from what they've done previously, and just kind of stretching out their legs in different ways, I guess. And it's good. They're good songs. I enjoyed them because I was just going through because it was just such a fucking. I was bombarded like on Friday. I'm like, what the fuck? Like we got all these bands dropping new shit. And Amity did a good job with these 2 songs.
Yeah, it's nice to see them return to kind of the heavier factor because I wasn't too upset about I Bring the Weather With Me. I know you didn't particularly like it, but there was definitely some like in between like Doomsday Ivy that we weren't too excited about. So it's nice to see them kind of bring back like the days of like Youngbloods and Anchors.
Yeah, because this is definitely because even like the album prior to that, This Could Be Heartbreak or something like that.
That's what it was.
I was not crazy about that either, And the last one was next one after that was even more experimental and kind of further drew them away from the sound that I liked them for. And I even messaged you. I'm like, they were like one more bad release from me pulling their metal card. And here they are. And they're like, you know what? We're going to stick around for a little bit and do stuff that people like, which is nothing wrong with that.
Good stuff.
And I like the singles. And I guess we'll see where they fall. We'll see, I don't think it's going to be able to reach like Let the Oceans Take Me levels of like popularity.
That's lightning in a bottle, man.
Yeah, because they were so big at the time and kind of blew up like really quickly and all that. But I definitely think it's something that's going to be an honorable mention, hopefully near the end of the year. It's weird starting to talk about the New Year's music, and it's just, it's crazy. It's crazy stuff. But yeah, Amity, check it out if you have not. Move it along.
Have you listened to this one yet?
I started to, but I did not get far enough to have a comment.
Okay. So, how familiar are you with Loathe?
Not very familiar at all.
I'm not either. I checked out some of their older stuff, but there's something special about Two-Way Mirror. It is 110% melodic vibe music. I don't know what it is about the song that like entranced me because they're kind of hardcore-ish, I'd say.
Yeah.
But there's something about this like laid-back, mellow, kind of in-your-face, just ride the wave music, and it's been on fucking repeat since Friday, dude. I can't kick it.
Okay.
So whatever they're doing, I'm picking up what you're putting down, Loathe.
That's good stuff, man.
That's a good transition I'd like to see.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so I guess we'll have to wait and see what they do moving forward because they have a whole album coming out, right?
I believe so. Yeah,
they have a whole album coming out. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I started to listen to it. I know I enjoyed it, but I don't really have enough to formulate an opinion on it quite yet. So maybe we'll talk about that next week. But Loathe, another band that we don't have a ton of experience with, kind of sliding around, checking it out. Okay, so let's talk about something that's important to me. All right, let's talk about Code Orange because they've been off the radar for a little bit. I know they've been playing shows. They're playing Coachella. We've talked about that. That's a little weird, but there to me, for you, it's Knock Loose. For me, it's Code Orange, right? So it's our different flavors of hardcore. Let's say, right? I enjoy Code Orange more.
Sure,
that's me. But like I said, it's the inverse. But that's okay. Now this new song, have you heard it?
Yeah. Who is this for? Are they trying to form like sedimentary rock? No, they're trying to make coal, right? Because you just compact dinosaur bones under like massive amounts of pressure.
Uh-huh.
They're trying to make coal, man.
Yes, they are.
I like it.
It's interesting, dude, because they've kind of I don't want to say strayed because that's not quite the word. They've evolved All right. We went.
Oh my god, that is the perfect fucking word.
We have went from Pikachu to Raichu like very quickly. All right, and because they were like a straightforward kind of crazy hardcore band, and then they brought the heat for sure, right? But now they're bringing the heat in kind of a weird way. They got weird. Code Orange has gotten weird. All right, but I like it. It's like that one girl in the back of the classroom. You're like, you're fucking weird, but every time you talk to her, she makes you laugh. You know, that's them. And,
okay.
Yeah, that's them.
What is Knocked Loose then?
Knocked Loose is that girl that everybody likes. And you're like, yeah, you're cool too. You know what? I thought you were a bitch because you were kind of like the popular kids, but you know what? You're not bad.
Does that mean that Kublai Khan is that girl that came in like Cookie Monster sweatpants and Uggs and ate Cheetos during the mile?
Correct. You are correct.
Oh, hey, somebody stop me, man.
No, what? Okay, wait. Before we continue on with the Code Orange quick review, I try to make a gay metaphor because we were talking about the podcast last week with my mom. I was talking to her. I'm like, I'm trying to corner the market. I'm trying to get better with gay like food metaphors. And I'm like, this is a gay metaphor. I'm like, you know what? This song was like gravy. You know, like if it's thin, you don't want it, but if it's too thick, it feels like there's a boot in it. You know what I mean? I'm like, and that's the first thing that came to my mind. I'm like, wait a minute, I kind of like that. I kind of like that. And I'm like, okay, I'm rolling with it. So I had to present it to you on air. I just thought it was kind of fun.
My God. That's, woo. Hey, somebody give this dude a medal. 4 years of this shit, and he finally came up with a food metaphor.
Finally a good one, right? Anyway, so they took an industrial route with this, right? And it's funny because as you listen to the song, it feels like you're switching channels on the radio station. I'm like, that was a weird transition from one point to another, but they have focused on Reba's clean vocals on this song. And she sounds good. I mean, I think it was very easy to say that Bleeding in the Blur, which was on Forever, was one of the more like popular songs for people outside of the scene, and that was focused on her clean vocals. So I think they were like, you know what? If you like this so much, we're going to try moving forward doing this. Now, not to say that, obviously, I haven't heard the rest of the album. I'm sure there's fucking bangers on it. But I like that they intentionally chose
a weird one
to kind of
keep you on your toes.
Yeah, to kind of present it to you to be like, well, maybe this is what we're doing. I don't know. But I like the aesthetic of it all. Watched the music video. I like how they have the keyboard. Somebody said, wow, I didn't know Billie Eilish joined fucking Code Orange because the keyboard looks like Billie Eilish, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, it's very unique. There's nothing else like this right now. And industrial.
Carve that niche, baby. Carve that niche.
Heavy, weird, but in a fun way, you know? And I love them. And I'm really looking forward to this. It's coming on March, which is like around the corner. So we'll see. We'll see where Code Orange stands on this near the end of the year. But I'm willing to bet it'll probably be near the top.
It'll, without a doubt, make the honorary top 5.
Correct.
I'd imagine if it's really that good, it's probably going to be like 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Because there's always that sneaky last-minute release that just destroys and completely rearranges their top 5s.
Correct.
Every year.
Correct. Yeah, so I guess we'll have to wait and see on that. Because when Forever came out, and because I know how you would retcon it and you would say Polaris was your album of the year, if I could retcon it, it would be Forever by Code Orange.
And you know, that's the detriment. It's because we weren't paying attention to some of these smaller guys coming up.
Correct. Well, it wasn't even, I heard the album, but I'm like, oh yeah, that was this year. Like that was my complaint.
I've been listening to like Counterparts, Nothing Left to Love. And some of that shit, man, that shit cut real deep.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's cutting deep. But yeah, man, so I would definitely keep an eye out on this because I think Code Orange is going to potentially bring the heat this year, and I think that's something that we should all expect.
Good stuff. Speaking about March, a band called Silverstein is dropping a new album in March.
Have you heard these 2 singles?
I have. They're actually quite good.
Yeah, man. Both of them have features on it. Caleb Shomo's on one, and Aaron Gillespie from Under Oath is on the other. And
we need to get those 2 in a room now that I think about it.
Correct.
Shomo, Gillespie, and then Spencer was featured on somebody else's track.
He was on Silent Planets. He did that a couple years ago.
No, like recently. Like Spencer was featured on somebody's recent single.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and so I'm glad to see that these kind of giants are conglomerating now because Silverstein and Caleb Shomo is like bread and butter, baby.
Yeah, they're like best friends, like legit. You know, the whole Silvertooth thing. I'm sure everybody recalls from a couple Warped Tours ago and stuff like that. But yeah, Aaron Gillespie, we need to see him in more stuff. Let's be real. Aaron's fantastic. He's a fantastic vocalist, and he's automatic. You can tell when it's him right away. And both tracks were very good. I like again, I'm gonna say it, I like the artwork. It looks really fucking cool.
2020, the year of artwork.
Yeah, and I like the music video too, man. It was kind of interesting. Silverstein, I mean, their last album was really good, right? Really good, and they've always been in the really good category. This one I'm looking forward to. I think if it's anywhere near, I think we're in good hands. And if they could start leading towards some of the more maybe older stuff that they used to do, I think we're in a good spot for Silverstein.
I think our sentiment about Silverstein is very much the same we had about Norma Jean last year, where they always put out quality music, and then suddenly one day they were like, y'all haven't seen shit yet.
Correct. And which is it's interesting coming from a band that's been around as long as they have.
I'm just waiting for that like next evolution from bands like August Burns Red, because they, you know, we always speak how they kind of like kick it up a notch, right? But it's always like smaller steps, in between
incremental
albums.
steps. Yeah.
And now seeing this sort of level of like masterwork craftsmanship from Silverstein, now I'm kind of curious to see what some of these other titans in the industry are going to do.
Because August Burns Red is coming this year too. Keep that in mind.
Well, in theory, right? We don't have anything confirmed?
No, they're confirmed.
Okay.
Yeah, they're confirmed. They're supposed to be dropping something this year too. And I think it's right on time. I think they do one every 2 years, I think. And like you said, incremental steps with them. They're always getting better, but you know, it's never the large, massive mantle for, you know, once giant, you know, man for mankind kind of a thing. You know what I mean? So we'll have to wait and see. But I love that these bands from these eras are really kind of stepping up their game, and you know, it's good stuff. Another band that dropped some new singles, The Word Alive. They're moving and grooving. Not you know, it was good stuff. It was nothing like that really wowed me, but there's definitely they have a good single or two out right now. Check that out if you haven't. But man, it's already hot and heavy, real hot and heavy at the beginning of the year this year, which is fun because I think you probably share the sentiment, especially last year. It wasn't until like fall that we really started to pick up steam with some of these crazier releases, and yeah, man. It's good stuff. So I guess we'll have to wait and see moving forward on who else has got what coming out. And I'm sure we're going to have some more news to talk about next week. So
good stuff, sir. So we have a retro review of an album that turned 17 on the 1st of January. And that album is called Ocean Avenue by a band, small little indie band you might know called Yellowcard.
Yep.
All right. Where do we start with this? How about this? I'll go first.
Okay.
I think that when Yellowcard hit the scene with this album, nobody really knew what the impact was and where they were going. That early 2000s scene of pop punk is what I like to call snot punk, with bands like Blink-182 and kind of like the 90s bands like MXPX and those guys that, you know, Fat Mike and the guys that always had like this kind of like douchey, maybe unserious undertones to the kind of pop punk scene at the time.
Correct.
When Ocean Avenue hit the scene, it hit the ground running and sprinting. And I think what really separated this album from a lot of the stuff at the time was that Ryan Key and the rest of Yellowcard played and tapped into their emotional veins. And I think this album kind of, Yellowcard and bands like All Time Low, MCR, these guys paved the way for modern day pop punk bands that, you know, are all about in tune with your emotions, and even some of these like sad boy rappers, shit of that nature. But they really did pave the way for this new generation of pop punk because it was a totally different scene in the early 2000s. You had like the American Pie kind of scene, you know what I mean, where I'm gonna get drunk and, you know, stuff like that,
parties and.
Yeah, and I think what Yellowcard did with this album was that they showed that you can still be cool and you can still vibe with a lot of these melodies and these fucking riffs, but be honest with yourself and what you're feeling.
That's definitely the big thing, is that from looking from the outside, you know the hits, you know Ocean Avenue, you know The Only One, so you know what you're gonna get, right? But what people fail to realize is that there was a lot of heart in this album. There was a lot of like kind of realistic situations that people can understand, you know what I mean, and people that can relate to, right? And I think they were one of the first bands in that scene to kind of tap into that, because like you said, there was a little bit of Sum 41 party and kind of Blink-182 kind of goofy Dude Ranch type of shit, yeah, weird kind of stuff. But I felt like they were actually being true to who they are, right? And I think it came up in the kind of the same kind of scene of like the Simple Plans, who are also kind of in the same ballpark as far as kind of talking about stuff that people feel, you know, Newfound Glory, things like that. So this is like, I want to say they were like the start of like the very last scene of like pop punk that I cared about.
Sure.
Still, I mean, I love Yellowcard. I think they're great. Very formative years type of shit because, like I said, it speaks to you. There's not really like I can't, as much as I love Sum 41, I can't,
Yeah, I think
I can't relate to a lot of it.
Because Blink and Sum do have songs that do cut kind of deep.
Yeah.
But Yellowcard took that emotional song and turned it into an emotional album. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the big difference here.
Yeah, because I've never trashed my own house party because nobody came. You know what I mean? Like, that was like, that's not something. I mean, I get the whole rebellion aspect of it. I think that's one of the main difference. I think Sum and Blink have that kind of rebel without a cause kind of situation, while, the Yellowcard's like, well, I'm going to talk about how I feel, how I relate to the world, how I see the world at this point of view. And even with some of the innocence of like a song like Ocean Avenue, where it's talking about kind of the innocence of like an early budding relationship and how it kind of relates to when you grow up and things like that. So a lot of depth from a young band at the time, because how many albums they had at this point?
They were 20. They were my age when this album came out. They were almost 23.
Probably what, 2 albums, 3 albums tops?
Let me actually look into that, because I didn't do too much research into
really
what they've. I think that we both love Yellowcard. If we were to sit down and do a deep dive, I think we'd be very surprised as to where these guys came from and this and that, things of that nature. So
he's pulling it up, ladies and gentlemen.
So yeah, that is album number 3.
3.
Where We Stand was 99, One for the Kids was 01, and then Ocean Avenue 2003.
Yes, and obviously this was like the light year jump that they were looking for, because I think while they were releasing good songs up to that point, I think this is definitely the step forward that we were all looking for them. And they definitely earned it, man. Talking about a band that probably deserves more credit than what they get. I think I definitely put them in that ballpark. Because when you talk about that early 2000s pop, it's always Sum 41, it's always Blink-182, it's always Newfound Glory to a lesser extent. You know what I mean? And it's always those styles of bands. When in actuality, like, no effects. But in actuality, it's bands like this that kind of push the genre forward. They got it out of the Hurley pants and fucking, backwards baseball caps and things like that. I don't know. That's how I feel about it, though.
There's definitely something to be said about that, because when you ask people like, hey, you fuck with Yellowcard, 9 out of 10 times it's gonna be like, yeah, I fucking love Ocean Avenue.
Yeah.
And like Breathing and Only One, things like that. But I think that people enjoy Yellowcard. People don't appreciate Yellowcard.
Correct.
And that's one of 2 shows I regret not going to, was their farewell tour.
Yeah, definitely, man. That would have been a great one. I'm sure it would have been pretty emotional too, because especially from that era of bands, I think a lot of people, I think we lost a lot of bands from that era. You know what I mean? Like, as far as like maybe some of them going underappreciated, Yellowcard being one of them, and some of them being blown up in like the MCRs in the world and stuff like that. They bridged the gap between that kind of frat boy pop punk and the overly emo pop punk.
Absolutely,
like the MCRs and the used.
Yellowcard was that nice bridge between where everybody could enjoy it.
Correct.
Even if you were a suburban soccer mom, Ocean Avenue.
And it was all wholesome shit. You know what I mean?
It really was, man. Ryan Key did a fucking great job with that.
Yeah, correct. And just a great album, man. What can we say? I mean, I love it because I was definitely listening to it. I'm sure I'm going to have an opinion, but how much am I really going to enjoy this now as I'm an adult? And
it's still banged all the way through, huh?
It is still good stuff.
It's a girthy album too. It's like
47 minutes, 50 minutes long almost, and 13 songs, and they're all there's no filler here. There are 13 really good songs from a band that had something to prove. And they did a great job. And we missed them, and they should probably come back soon. I'm sure that tour would fucking sell out, because I'm sure the last album or the last tour did pretty well. I'm sure Ryan Key keeps busy, I know. But maybe we should bring them back.
Maybe one day. So we can't talk about Yellowcard without bringing up that Keith Buckley tweet about Warped Tour. You know which one I'm talking about?
No, actually, I don't know.
Keith Buckley tweeted 2017 Warped Tour. He was like, day 1 of Warped Tour. Oh, I can't wait to see all my friends and do yoga with the violinist from Yellowcard. And it's like day 40-something of Warped Tour. Oh, no, I fucked that up. I totally fucked that up. It was day 1 of Warped Tour. I was like, I can't wait to see all my friends and do yoga. And then it's like day 40. It's like, man, I wonder if the violinist from Yellowcard has cocaine.
Damn, that's funny. That's good stuff.
Yeah,
man.
So I think I went into this review not knowing what I was going to say. And
Same.
And so coming out of the other end and doing maybe some reflection on pop punk as it is and pop punk as it was, this is one of the albums I'm going to point to and say, you like Real Friends, you like Knuckle Puck, you like any of those bands, modern day pop punk that draws from their emotions, you can thank Yellowcard.
I agree 100%. Because there's definitely a fine line. Like we said, we talked about the MCRs who are almost like amplified, like to the nth degree. And then there's the more subtle. They're a little bit more subtle, a lot more subtle, but maybe not as theatrical. That's the word I'm looking for.
Sure.
And nothing wrong with that. MCR, obviously, hey man, they have an impact, and whether you love them or you hate them, at the very least, you got to respect them, right? Kind of like the Beatles. That's me. But it is what it is. But yeah, I'm glad that we took a look at this one. Now, if I actually want to do the thing that we were talking about, I want to do the deep dive look at the career of a Mice and Men next week. Do you have the time to fit that into your schedule?
I will absolutely fit it into my schedule because I think of Mice and Men as a band that I don't know too much about.
Really?
Yeah. I was never big into them, and I think this might be a good excuse to do my deep dive.
Take a look. Okay.
I also mentioned it to you. I'm not going to mention it live on the podcast because we're going to wait till the anniversaries, but 3 really big albums turned 20 this year, and so we're going to be doing retro reviews on those.
Yeah, there's one in particular that I'm like salivating to talk about.
Which one?
You know which one.
Okay.
Yeah, you know which one. Alrighty, so that was that. So real quick little review. Nothing, I'm not going to fucking break the bank on this one because it was an album by a band called Nightmares. The album's called After Death. See, I had to take that look. I listened to it because somebody said, hey man, After Death coming out with a good album. So I checked it out. And the production on this is fucking airtight, bro. Like, it's fucking beautiful.
Nice.
It's real slick, almost a little computery, but I'm not going to get too upset about it. It's my first album review of the year. Vocally, very impressive. This guy did a great job. Lyrically, very good. It's an album that fucking slaps. It's a little relentless in that regard. But if you're a fan of kind of the heavier, brutal kind of stuff, because they almost get deathcore-y in some aspects in the middle of their songs, which I'm okay with. Definitely check out this band. I have to take a deeper dive because I kind of did an initial walkthrough, and I'm like, oh, that was cool. And I haven't really taken another look because of all the other shit
that's going on in the music sphere.
That has happened subsequently since that I was a little bit more excited about, right? I mean, when you say Silverstein, instantly my ears peak up, stuff like that. So, I'll take a deeper dive. I feel like I owe these guys a little bit of a better review than that. So we'll carry that over, and maybe you could take a look at it too.
Absolutely. I love the conjoined album reviews because you never know what you're going to get.
Correct. So other than that, is that it? You got anything else to add, Gabe?
I've got nothing else to add, my friend. I think that was a quick and poignant podcast.
We got to the point. Sometimes me and Gabe ramble. This was not one of those episodes in which we rambled. You know what I mean? Other than that was the Second City Kids podcast, episode number 146.
146.
We will see you here next week for episode 147.
147.
And I'm sure we'll have tons of other interesting stuff for you, including the career look of Mice and Men. And we're definitely looking forward to it. Hopefully you guys join us next week. I forgot because when I did the recording for my for the outro, I forgot to mention the fact that we have a YouTube. We do, by the way, and all the shows post up automatically. So if you're into the YouTube sphere, check it out. And obviously share with your friends. It's very easily shareable. All that good stuff. And until next week, folks, deuces. Thank you guys for joining us this week on the Second City Kids podcast. You can like us on iTunes, Google, anywhere else podcasts are found. Any comments, questions, or concern, you can email us at secondcitykids@gmail.com. Until next week, folks, deuces.